A volcanic eruption changed the global climate.
Did you know that the Earth consists of plates which move into specific directions very slowly? Originally, there was only one continent, but by moving 1 to 2 millimeters per year, it has split. That's what causes plate boundaries. The diverging plate boundary is when two plates drift apart, which causes magma to rise to the surface and form rift zones or volcanoes. The opposite to that is when two plates crash against each other, which is a converging plate boundary. If there's an oceanic plate and a continental plate, the oceanic plate will move below the other due to its density. This tectonic activity can cause natural disasters like volcanoes or earthquakes, but also create things like mountain ranges.
In this case of the Pinatubo volcano, it was subduction related. The Euroasian plate went below the Philippine mobile belt along the Manila Trench in the west, which created the stratovolcano. In the volcanic explosivity index, there are 9 stages, reaching from 0 to 8, where the Pinatubo explosion in 1991 scored 6. This makes it the second largest eruption of the century and the largest eruption to affect a densely populated area, as it spread hundreds of miles across.
Already in April, the sulfur amount increased and small explosions happened. When it dropped, it suggested something blocking the evaporation process. In the beginning of July, magma rose and exploded the first time on the 12th of July, which is also the Philippines' Independence Day. This reawakened the volcano and led to another larger cataclysmic eruption when 5 cubic kilometers of material was ejected on the 15th. A big blanket of ash covered the countryside by 35 kilometers, fell into the Indian Ocean, and went several times around the globe.
This cloud of ash could score on air traffic's windshields and is also not shown on the radars. It would also block the pilot tube, which causes the pilot to lose control over speed and height. If the particles burn into the engine, it might even fail. In order to prevent this, the air traffic was warned on the 15th. Those who did not like ended up with $100 million of damage. Smaller, but still spectacular eruptions happened in early September as well, and generally lava domes were built in a new caldera caused from removed rocks and lava, as fresh magma rose from beneath. The around area was overcome by avalanches of hot ash, gas, and pumice fragments, which filled valleys that used to be 200 meters deep. If the underground water got in touch with the hot lava inside, it would explode. The typhoon and monsoon rain was very helpful there.
Apart from warning the aircrafts, they also started warning people a couple days earlier due to predictions with satellite images which saved at least 5,000 lives and $250 million in property. The inhabitants were offered shelter and ways to leave quickly, and in general they were given quick aid when needed. The mudflow with thunder did cause many diseases, for which they were lacking disease control. This ended up killing 722 people, more than twice the amount of people that died due to the explosion. The urgent cancellation of flights caused some personal trouble too, and overall there was a $700 million damage and destruction. $350 million of damage was on agriculture and therefore destroyed a huge source of income and jobs. In a nutshell, $18 million in business was gone.
200,000 houses were lost, and also the 2 largest US military bases were heavily damaged. Around 60,000 people in a 35-kilometer radius had to be evacuated and waited years in resettlement homes to get back home if their home was even still standing. Nearby towns were also highly migrated to, for example to the town Manila, that ended up having to take in 1.2 million homeless people. Whether or not that was beneficial to its economy is questionable. All these now migrants had to deal with the psychological damage of the trauma and losses they'd made, which logically must have increased the demand for therapy. The ash in the Indian Ocean must have affected the local fishing a lot too, and generally the 20 million tons of sulfur dioxide that were released caused the global temperature to sink by 0.5 degrees Celsius for the next 2 years. All the carbon and damage around was also an issue. The country's economy in 1992 was pushed into an external debt of around $33 billion.
The reason this entire thing is catastrophic is because on the one hand, it's a non-routine event that caused a huge amount of damage, but on the other hand also led to many deaths, losses and financial struggles, both personal and governmental. The ecology was immensely affected by the lava-filled valleys and destructions, but most importantly by the emissions that changed the global climate by half a degree all around the world. Therefore, the effects of it didn't stay in a small place, but spread across the entire planet, like the ash cloud, for example.
Overall, this event was a horrible catastrophe that we as humans unfortunately can never prevent. But this is how a single volcano managed to change the world's climate. Also, there was a mouse that people thought was extinct, but was actually found 30 years later and is still alive. Volcano mouse!